welcome to another video, guys. This one we're going to be doing a technical video. So as we said a couple of videos ago, we're going to start doing some technical for the nerds and the dweebs that want to learn some stuff, and then we're going to do some fun videos as well. So this one's a technical video. We're going to be doing a bulk PPF install on this box, fresh, brand new. Literally, it's got like 10 miles on it. Comes straight from Snows, front end PPF. So G-on front end PPF, G-on ceramic coat as well. So we're going to bulk install the front bumper. The reason for the bulk install is I don't like the template. It's that black and white. It's got joins in the middle here, which we don't need. There's a lot of pieces that, again, are going to have joints and things like that, which you can do on a bulk install without putting the joints in. So definitely a bulk one for this. Thought it'd be a good video to show you guys, especially the difference between template and bulk, and then we can talk you through why we're putting cuts in certain places, and yeah, you can watch the process of doing this. So it's not going to be a fun video. It's going to be me talking about technical stuff, why relief cuts, why we're using solutions, why the solutions are in a bucket heater, and things like that. So yeah, we hope you enjoy it, and yeah, let's get into it. First thing I suppose we can talk about, as it's a technical video, is tools. So what am I going to be using? PPF squeegees. There's a range of all different shapes and sizes. Some are hard, some are flimsy, some are smaller, some have got angles. So yeah, we'll squeegees, scalpel or craft knife, whatever you want to use. You're going to be going through some blades as well, so we need fresh cuts on all the cuts that we do. And then, sorry Lindsay, this is a sensor cutter, and I saw this online. I thought, well, that looks quite cool. And then lots of people said it was garbage, quite expensive as well. So I sort of did some reading on it, and then found that a lot of people that were using it were just sticking it on the sensor and then cutting it, and then they were moaning that it doesn't cut evenly around the sensor. Well, that's because it's not stuck in the middle. So I found that if you stick it on the sensor and then you pinpoint 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and you make sure that the blade is going to do an even circle, then it's really good. So I quite like it. And that's, yeah, for cutting sensors on PPF. Nice scaffolds to squeegees. Bucket with a bucket heater in it, so that's just water in the bucket that's hot. Why do I heat, slip and tack solutions in the bucket? Because it makes the glue on the PPF more responsive. Glue does not like being cold in any instance, so warming the solutions helps when applying. And then we've got slip solution, tack solution, and then PPF lift as well. So the tack is for sticking it when you want it stuck. The slip solution is what we're going to spray on the bumper just to sort of squeegee out. And then the lift is if we need to lift the PPF back up, we can spray some of that as we're lifting the PPF. Helps with glue lines and things like that. So fingers crossed we don't need it, but you never know. So that's all in the bucket. It's all hot. Why is it hot, not cold? The glue on the material works a lot better when the solutions are warm or hot. So hot tack makes the glue softer, so when you squeegee it down, it sticks then and there, instead of having to squeegee, more squeegee and trying to get it to stick. Just put some tack in there, do it once, job done. So yeah, those are the tools, and some PPF obviously. We've already prepped the bumper. It's been flaybarred, it's been polished. Even though it's brand new, still has swirls in it from the factory. It turned up really dusty. This one, the customer asked for no prep to be done and left it all to us. So it's all been washed, claybarred, machine polished on the front. We haven't done the rest of the car yet. We then took it back out, hosed it down to get all the dust out of it, and then we've airlined all of the blown sort of compressed air into all of the areas, got rid of all of that, so it is good to go. So let's go and get some material and start the fitment. So I've just gone and filled my slip solution back up. Slip solution is a solution which you mix with water when you apply paint protection film. Different brands have different solutions, or you can use Johnson's
baby shampoo, but we don't do that.
You can have it more slippy if you put more in. You can have it less slippy if you put it less in. It's 22 degrees in here at the moment, so 18 mils for me works really well. If it was a bit cooler, I'd probably put a little bit less in. I quite like working with the material and being quite sticky. If you put more in, you squeegee it down, it lifts up, squeegee it down, lifts up, squeegee it down, lifts up. So the less soap, the tackier this will be. The more soap, the slippier it will be. But as a general rule of thumb, 18 to 20 mils of slip will work quite well. That's sprayed up, that's good to go. Here's the PPF. This is good to go. I could use the pill board behind me and then carry the material round. That's one way of doing it. With bulk installs and things like that, I generally grab whoever's around to help, and then we'll pull the backing off here, spray it up as we go. The reason for it is it's less travel with the material in the air, and then it's just, yeah, I just find it easier to work. But the main reason is you haven't got to carry it from the oven to the workshop. I could put a pill board on a set of wheels, but then it's just another thing to have lying around. So the pill board's at the back of the car on the wall. I could have driven the car on the other way, but then there's not really a great deal of space at that end of the workshop. So yeah, I'll get Joe. Joe, you haven't met Joe. Joe's the new admin guy. He's doing all my admin for me, which is great. So I'm going to get him out here, and he's going to hold the material whilst we spray it up, and then we can fit it on the bumper. Everyone, this is Joe. Joe looks like Bottas.
Do we spray my hands?
You can spray your hands. You're going to get wet in your billionaire's t-shirt. Right, so bumper sprayed, that's done. Joe's going to grab that end and pull it out. I'm going to give myself a PPF cup. Jubbly. Right. So Joe's job is to hold. I'm going to do the rest of it. So you need to peel the corner off. I'm going to fold this up a little bit just to make it a bit easier. Oh, here we go. Amateur owl.
Done it.
He's done it. Right, don't peel too much off because we don't want too much static. I'm good. There. Sorry. Jesus Christ. Right. Come on, hold it. Hold it. Right. Okay. So, with PPF, you need to spray it as you pull the backing off, which means you can spray the other person as much as you want. And there's nothing they can do about it. Right. So, just keep spraying, keep going. All you can probably see on the camera is a big sheet of material. Right, we're getting there, we're getting there. Almost there. It's quite a big bit. I think I've only the trim.
I think you might know.
Won't kill me. Do I run out of space and one with you? Da, 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 da. I think this is even longer than the peel board. Right. So now we need to wrap it tight around the bumper. We need to spray some tack on the bit that I'm going to stick down, and then I'm going to go around to Joe's side.
Tack solution is a mix of, well, it could be two things. It can be deionized water, straight, you can just use that, or you could mix it with isopropanol alcohol at the correct ratios to give you a bit more stick when needed.
Tighten that. Right. Okay, amateur hour, obviously. I will come and assist because we need it far.
How would you need to pull it tighter?
Pardon?
We need to come up and pull it tighter.
I should do it. You can come around here. You can't come around there because that's a stag. Let me just stick this down. Right. Hold your bit.
Yeah.
Tight.
Hold it.
Hold it. Right. Tight. Hold it. You got to play against it. You got to tug of war. Come on, pull it. Right. Right. Let off a bit. Right. That'll stay there. I'll go and hold. That's what I'm going to try to come off. You got those at the bottom still. Right, because I'm going to pull this tight and it's going to want to.
Like, where am I holding from?
Just hold it. Oh, top and bottom.
Yeah.
The bottom's going to want to come up.
Yeah.
This is actually very slippy.
It is, isn't it?
Very, very slippy. It's not even sticky. Why is it not even sticky?
You're going to have to do it in some debate.
No. That side is stuck on. I've put more ISO in my tack solution. I don't think it had enough punch to hold it where I need it. So, Joe is just holding it whilst I stretch it round. Not too crazy, but just enough. Right. So many hands.
It's easy as that.
Too many hands. Right. Down. And I'll put some down the bottom as well, where my leg was holding it. Right. We need to lift that back up. We can, it's not a problem. Right, so that is tight there, tight there, tight there. That's okay there. We're going to pull it a bit tight around here, so we'll do this bit again. Joey's going to go back on the other side, just in case. We never want it falling off. It would just be a disaster. No. So tacking in there, and there, and there. Lots. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Through this right there. It's tight. Use YB. Doesn't. Right. Right. And then we squeegee and tap that on there like so. Right. There we go. PPF on the bumper. Nice and tight. Not too tight, because when we put relief cuts in it, you don't want it to split open. Had that before where you've wrapped it too tight, and then when you cut it, it just goes. So that would be very bad. But PPF on. Next step. Now we just need to spray the top of the PPF with the slit. And this just helps the squeegee glide across it, essentially. Put that back in the bucket heater. Now, there's quite a few plumes across the top of it, across the top here. But I think it will be okay because we can pull them out and then we can almost like relief cut here. So this bit will be able to come up and we can have a play. I don't want to really pull it. I could maybe pull it a fraction tighter. I think maybe. It's really tight because of these great big pods here. That'll all go in nicely. I think it's going to have to go a bit, I think it's actually going to have to go even tighter as well. There's something there. There's always something, you always get a bit of, be careful. But yeah, I think I'm going to go a fraction tighter. So let's pull that again. Okay, so I've just pulled it, I've just gone around and pulled it tighter again, which has minimised the pleats on the top here. It's a bit better. So we can essentially now start to start squeegeeing it down. So you could start at the bottom here in the centre and work out, or you could start at the top. I don't know if there's a specific way. Like I said before, I just do it the way I did it. I'm sure there's plenty other ways of doing it. Something that I do is once I've done a section, so that we've done this bit across the middle, I get a rag or a cloth and I just wipe over the water off of the top to see if there's any bubbles. So give a quick look, double check that you've got all the fluid out from behind the area that you're working on. It's always handy. And then carry on. So I'll probably do this bit up here now. Now we want this bit to stick down and not keep lifting like this, and that's where the tack solution comes in. So we can just spray it up on the top. Don't want loads because you're going to fill the badge bowl up, but we can literally tack that down, and then we can start going to either side and spray a little bit of tack as you go, or a lot, whatever you want to do. And yeah, just squeegee it out. As you go, I'm not pulling a material or stretching it or anything like that. I'm literally just squeegeeing it. You just try and get all the water out, all the tack, all the slip, everything out. And once you've done that bit, again, just make sure you've got all the bubbles, there's no dirt in there, and then just keep on going. Basically, just keep working it until you get it just how you need it. So in the template there was a relief, there was a cup here. This top piece was a separate piece. I don't think we actually need a separate bit there personally. I spray a bit of tack down in there, this bit, so that's that section down, and just continue to work. So we have this big pleat here at the moment, which we can get out while putting the material this way a little bit. And we can't go too crazy because we need to get it all in under that headlamp as well. So can't go too mad, but it's definitely got to be pulled out a certain way. Right, that's that. So then we can just check this area. We've done that bit down there. So already by doing a vault fitment, we've eradicated this cut line here on the template. We might have to relief cut under here to get this bit in under the headlight, but the relief cut under here that you're never going to see unless you put your head upside down is better than a joint straight through the middle of the bumper, in my opinion. So yeah, that's that bit done. There's quite a bit of tension up here. I haven't steamed it or stretched it or anything like that. It's literally just fed up there. So we'll keep an eye on that for the minute. I think it'll be okay. I think. And there's excess in there at the moment, but we'll see what happens throughout the course of the fitment. I can just continue now to squeegee the solution out from behind. Now I'm starting to get a few dry spots around here. You can see them down here, and that's obviously because I put the tack down in there. So we can cut this excess off. We're going to let the material relax pretty much from this arch corner, and that way we can just squeegee that down, and then yeah, there'll be no tension at the end of it. So craft knife, new blade, definitely new blade for sure.
Do I need to use a new blade for every cut? No. You can, my rule of thumb is 3 cuts, change blade. You could probably do more than 3. You might be able to do 5 or 6, but when it starts dragging and snagging, you are then in a world of problems. The reason I use my rule of 3 is because if the blade gets blunt, or as you're doing more cuts, the blade gets blunter, is that a word? You have to put more pressure on the knife, which means you've got more risk of scratching the paint.
Cars, brand new cars, etc. So just be very careful where your blade is. You do not want to be scratching the paint. So that's done. We can spray some slip or lift or whatever we need in there to release something. I don't want tack. I want a big tack. It's in the bucket all the way over here. So I don't think we need lift yet because it's not dry. It's not dried at all, so it's still fluid. So your general slick will be fine. Just spray down there. And then the same down the bottom here. Lifting it up a fraction to get some fluid back behind this area that's very dry. So, and then as you can see, that's all relaxed. So we can just squeegee that down. Same as this top bit. Use a little bubble in there. We might be able to get it out. We might have to lift that little bit up. Just be careful. Just be careful when lifting up from the edges. Not so much on fresh new cars, but if the paint's going to go and lift, that's where it's going to lift from. It's going to lift from an edge. So always bear that in mind. We can get rid of that bubble. It's being a bit stubborn, that one. Might come out this way a bit better. So just spray that in there. And this is just where all that tack went when we were trying to get the bumper. This is just where all the tack was when we were trying to fit the main piece. So spray the top of it so we can continue coming round. That's better. Okay. And then just work our way down, like so. Until we get to the bottom. Might need to put a little bit of pull in there just to get rid of some of it. You might not. See how it starts to lay down. Going to put some tack down in that arch because it just keeps lifting up and we're just chasing it. So because that's still wet, that should be good. It won't stick like we had issues before. There we go. Look at that. How much? Oh, so that's a wrinkle. Going more wrinkles. So you could pull it just a bit. Again, we're not introducing anywhere near excessive amounts of stretch. Okay. Right, and get that down, get all that fluid out. And this will just squeegee out like so. Nice and easy, all the way down. Where's our cloth? We can double check. And to me, it's pretty good. Lifting just a fraction on this corner, but a little bit of tack. I can draw this up later. There's a little bit of compression here, just a fraction. Again, we'll keep an eye on that, same as at the top of the bumper there. So actually, before we go to the other side, we're going to do this section here before it dries out too much. So the way the bumper's designed, obviously this section here and this bit, that is a screaming for a big relief cut straight through here. We can go all the way through to the bottom. Again, be careful not to cut any panels behind. So we can lift the PPF and just run the blade carefully all the way through. Okay, so now this bit can relax and we can just feed that in there, lovely. And then this bit, this is struggling to stick down. I'm going to lift this section, which we haven't squeegeed down yet, as you can see, so it's still all okay. And then if I can get in there, I can get a bit of tack up in there like that.
Why haven't I put a relief cut in this section at the bottom? Because there's quite a lot of tension in the material. So if I was to relief cut it, the risk of the material splaying open is higher than if I don't. So that's why I didn't relief cut it.
This bit will go down nicely. Look at that. Pucker. So, no thank you, Ramsey. Alright, so that goes down fine. Now, you may think, oh, he's got his hand under it, it's going to get all grimy and horrible underneath. As long as you're clean and you keep an eye on where you're squeegeeing. So my hand went in there like that, you saw that. There's no glue lines, there's no contaminants behind there. You might see all the PPF online and it's all very like therapeutic and oh, that looks nice and easy and squeegeeing all the water out. It's not like that in the real world. You have to lift it, spray it, lift it, spray it. That's just the way it is. And that's what we try and show on this channel, is just being real, basically. So that's all squeegee down. There's tack in there. So that is a nice tight little recess, and that will need a relief cut, I reckon. So this bit is now all nice and relaxed. We've squeegeed down to here, so we can just spray that up. And all we're going to do, we're not stretching it whatsoever, we are literally just laying that down. If we were to stretch it a little bit maybe, then it will help this bit go in here. But you could also feed that in. So you can stretch it like that, or you can lift it back up. And you could feed, which is probably better because again, no tension, you can feed that in like that. The material is relaxed. So that is a better way of doing it. We can squeegee all that up in there. This is now getting tight here, so we can relief cut that down there. And that will give us a bit more go in there, like that. And you can just keep relief cutting and getting lower and lower, and then keep feeding the material in bit by bit until you get all the way. So again, a little bit more tack in there. I might try and get that bit in up there. In my eyes. That's isopropanol in my eye. So we're going to try and get this bit in here. So you can see this little body line here. It keeps going in my eyes. Right, there we go. Tack up in there. Is it going to go in and stay there? That is the question. So it may do. Again, we can relief cut a bit higher. Okay. Right, that's got quite a lot of tension in it where we've yanked that round. So just be careful with that. You don't want it to split up and then go into the painted area. So it does go in, but it does lift back up. But that could be an area that we leave until it dries out, and then we can see if it will go back once it's dry. Both sides are done, top's done. We can now start looking at this bottom section. So we obviously know that we can relief cut here underneath this gloss black section, and then we're not going to need a great deal to go over that lip there, so we'll play it safe. We'll do it there for the minute. Okay, and then that's down there. We're going to need some tack to get that in there, that's for sure. I think I might have to refill the tack bottle up. Okay, so whilst we're waiting for the tack to warm up a little bit, I've just trimmed up all the waste and all the excess, so we can do the same grills here. Just trimming all the excess out, and then we can start feeding the material into where we need it. So just trimming bit by bit. There's always a lot of trimming when bulk fitting, but you'd rather trim too much or in little bits at a time than cut too much off. So grills are done, that's trimmed, these bits are trimmed up. We can let these dry out, and then we can tuck the material in, and then we can do our final cut. Same with these top bits. We can just trim these up. We can actually trim straight across there. That will enable us to feed that section in. We've got some tack in there, tack in the top, feed that in. Cut the toe and eye out. So it's literally just this bottom valance bit, and then the headlights, the bits under the headlights, they're going to be fun. Still a little bit concerned about this compression up here. I mean, it does pull out, and without a lot of tension, so we'll have to see. What we can do is pull that up there. All the wastage can drop out the bottom, so we don't have a big puddle in there that we're trying to get rid of. And then we can just feed this in nicely. That's gone straight down, which is what we like. So you feed all this in under the front balance. That's going in nicely. Same on this side. And we can just feed that all the way in. No issues, that's going in lovely. That's going to need a relief cut on that point underside, so but it's on the underside, so it's never going to affect anything. And then we just feed this front piece in all the way up to the valance. We could and may need to bring the relief cut down a little bit more there. Again, we'll have to have a look and see where we can put our relief cuts if we need to. So a couple of bubbles which are trapped under there. I think we're going to need a relief cut on that corner. There's no way that is going to go in there like a drummer skin. I want to see, it's pointless in steaming it at the moment, because if we steam it and then it sticks, because you've steamed it and stretched it, it's never going to stay there. Whereas if we just do these relief cuts bit by bit, closer and closer to the panel, we'll see where we can lose it. So we obviously want that in there. It's not staying down, so if we relief cut under here, that will enable us to fold that bit of material in. Just trying to get this PPF over this lip here, but this is where we're going to struggle to get that in there. I need to relief cut this an awful lot further down, but I don't want to go too far. You know that we don't need any more than that, so we can get rid of this bit that we're not using. Yes, it's definitely going to need our first cut. So on the template, this would be a separate piece, definitely, because it's just not, there's no way it's going to stay in there. I am really stretching that material to get that in there like that. I mean, I don't know. That's gone in. We've got a little bit further, a little bit closer. I'm wondering, you know, with my finger holding it there, that's going over nicely. That's fine, I'm not worried about that. If we do another relief cut, like that, you feel it, you literally feel it, like, just release the tension. And then I'm going to do another one. Here. And I'm just going to try and get that to go in a little bit further. Look at that. Almost there. And that's still wet, so if it stays there like this, we're cooking with gas. You know what? That has gone in. That has actually gone in. So we haven't had to put a relief cut in there. That has literally stayed there. As you can see, this little bit here keeps lifting back, but once that's dried out, then what we can do is we can leave a squeegee wedged in there overnight, if it will stay. We'll get a smaller one, and it will hold that bit down in that corner. So that's all gone in one nice piece. I did not expect that. And again, that's why when you bulk fit, you do it bit by bit, because definitely template would have had a cut through there, a joint, a separate piece. Yes, would have been easier to install. Finish wouldn't have been as good. All we're doing now is relief cutting all of this so that we can feed it in.
How do I know where to put the relief guts? It's experience. It is what it is. It's a case of trial and error. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but generally where you need to stretch material this way and something's stopping you over here, put a relief cut in it and it will free the material up to do that.
Now, in relation to what bit do you do first, I'm probably going to try and get this bit in, because then we have this slack material to sort of pull in, and we can then try and... This bit's going to go in easy. I'm not worried about that. But we need to try and get this in. So I'm going to bring that relief cut up higher so that it goes under the bumper so you can't see it. Definitely going to have to relief cut under there all the way, but you won't see the cut. So we want to leave enough PPF to go over the front of the bumper. This blade is lovely and blunt. Okay. So that is our first cut that's going to have a relief cut like a template, and you'll see a bit of paint underneath, but there is no way of getting that in there without doing that. So I'll spray that on the outside. See if we can get that up. Tiny little bubble there. And all we're doing is just feeding this in. So once we've got that in, we can relief cut this down. Too much water in here. Here's a trick for you. How are we going to get it out? I could probably use one with a rigid straw, it might be a bit easier. I do have some of the rigid straw somewhere. Let's see if that's any better. Right, and then we can just start bringing these cuts down a bit lower. So every time we do it, a little bit lower. We don't need all that blade out of there. We can get it so that it's all squeegeed in nicely under there. And we can trim it once it's dry. And we know it's all under there, good and proper and stuck. Could probably trim this excess off now, actually. Flush with the bottom of the headlight so we have enough to go under. And then the rest of it we can squeegee under. 100% coverage all the way under the headlight. Okay, so we're back after the bank holiday and the front bumper is almost there, so we're just going to do some trimming up, cut the sensors out, trim these bits, trim the bottom bits. It's been left to dry for a few days, so everything that we need to do we can just heat gun, push down, trim off, job done. But yeah, everything has stayed down. That was an area of concern, so you saw there was loads of compression in the top. This mag we've folded it over, trimmed it off, and that stayed down. Also these areas here which were quite tight, they've stayed down, absolutely no issues. So yeah, it's just little bits that we can push down like that. That'll be good. Some few areas that we need to trim off, the bottoms, and yeah, we can carry on. Okay, so with bulk fitment, unlike template fitment, you need to trim your excess. So we have this bit here that goes up to the wing, and we need to trim this off. So what I like to do, and it's a little bit, I suppose it's a little bit different. So bulk fitment, the idea of bulk fitment is that you get 100% coverage. I don't know if I should do this or not, but this is how I do it. So I've pushed the material into this gap here. And I can use my normal vinyl squeegee and we can get that in there nicely, no issues. Now with PPF, you either go long or you cut short. So if you were cutting it short, you would cut it 1 millimeter down here. If you were going long, you'd wrap it all the way over. Obviously we can't wrap it into the bumper because we haven't taken the bumper off. So we could put the knife in the body line and then cut it. Now the only problem is with that is the PPF doesn't have quite enough material to sort of stick down for a long time. Some I've done have been okay, some I've done have lifted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it in the body line, I'm going to push it all down, heat it all up, move it and stick it all down properly. And then on the post check, if it moves, then I'll cut it short. If it doesn't move, then we know we're okay. And I always let the customer know that as well. So it's a case of we get 100% coverage, we trim it in there. Sometimes it stays, sometimes it doesn't. Depends how big the gap is. Nice fresh new blade. And then we can just nick that side there and then cut on the wing side. The squeak is what you want to hear.
So when cutting PPF, if you don't have a squeak, you've either got a blunt blade or you've gone through the PPF and you're cutting the customer's paint. So the squeak is, if this is the material and the knife goes in, the squeak is when the material is half cut and it's the friction on the blade as you're dragging it through. So the squeak is good.
Use that end to tuck that in there. Now, like I just said, there's not an awful lot of material that's gone in there. There's a little bit, but there's not a great deal. So there is a chance that this here could lift. But like I said, if we do a post check, every vehicle comes back and we check it out. So I'll make the customer aware. This corner here, we can just round this corner off. Like that. And then a little trick that Daryl from Shades Rats told me. This little micro torch. And you just lit the ends. That's all it needs. And that is now 100% coverage, bulk fitment done. And like I said, again, if it lifts, if it's going to lift, it's going to lift in the next couple of days. Customer comes back for the post check, we can then trim it short, and then that would be the same as a template cut line. So it would be finished short, and then that would be fine. But it's always good if we can do it like this, then that's great. So the sensor, how do we cut the sensor out? You could use a scalpel if you've got a perfectly good hand, but we use one of these. This is a new toy for us. So the blade has been set and it's been tested on a bench, so we know that it's not going to go through and cut the paint. But what I've seen a lot of people doing is just sticking it on and then sending it. But what you need to do is make sure that at the points you're in the right position, and also that it's set to the right size sensor. So that's set to an 18. That's set to an 18. If we turn it to a 21, I don't know what size this is, but we just test. So that's massive. That cuts it really high. So let's do a 19. And that almost looks... that looks better. So you make sure that it's all central all the way around. I think we need to go to the left a little bit. We just turn this whilst pushing it in. We don't want to move it, but we want to make sure that our cut line is as good all the way around, which I think it is. So we can take that off. Get some tweezers. And we can see should have picked up the straight ones, not the bent ones. There we go, got it. One perfect circle around the sensor. That is bulk fitment done on the front of this 240i bumper. The paint side of it is all 100% bulk fitted. Done. Thanks for watching. If you found this one educational, then let us know. Jay's got some cakes. He's actually got cake. What is that? Donuts!